Let's see. Hello.
Hello,
Hello, everyone.
Mike, turn on
okay.
your camera.
Grubb bombs. Yeah, we're gonna. Don't worry, everyone. We're asking Jeff about Star Wars and stuff too today. Don't worry. Maybe one of those games.
What do you know about that Blizzard game?
I feel like
Right.
I feel like the tactics strategy game will almost certainly come to Switch. I don't know if it is, but we could talk about it.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't it? Is my how's my audio sound, everybody? Am I okay? I think I'm
okay?
Am I pumping at all? Am I pumping?
My video on.
You
Pumping.
sound fine
What are you
on
pumping?
to us. I don't know on the stream.
Pumping is like when the beginning of my words and the beginning of my phrases kind of cut off a little bit.
Oh, God damn it! That calendar. I keep forgetting, and I can't just
Fix
do it
your calendar.
Because
What have I told you about your game space? Keep your game space clear.
It's a horizontal calendar. My new one's a vertical. It's almost the end of the month. I'm gonna miss out on a whole month. All right, after
Let's
this.
see here.
You know.
Let's I got Stream Elements. I got the dock. What have I been playing?
The doc. That was my first handle. The doc.
The dock.
DADOC, because I played a medic in Team Fortress Classic. I was like, I'm the doc. That was my first handle. Then Kodo came along into my
That
life.
duck.
I don't remember what I've been
Cool.
playing. I've been playing Dying Light 2, so I haven't had time for much on the Switch.
No, don't worry. We got a lot of responses to the questions. So I don't think
Okay.
we're going to be talking about. I mean,
All
I
right,
just
cool.
been
So
playing more
scrolling
Mario.
up. Let's get to the right thing here. Dang.
Let's
I
see.
feel like I have too many things open.
You guys hear me?
Can I? Don't let me just play Jib Jig. Jib Jig.
Yub Nub?
Wait.
Do you know any of from Encanto?
No, I don't know. I saw this.
Uh,
I only know. Basically, I know songs that this one, like the only person who posts tab videos for Tin Whistles posts on YouTube. So she did one for
Amateurs.
Jib Jig. She did one for Suikoden too last week, very randomly. So I guess I can
Oh, wow.
find that.
I feel like I need to learn to read music. I feel like that's a useful skill someday.
It
I
is.
don't know
I
why.
actually do know. I did. I mean, I was in marching band. I know how to read music.
I was in
kinda.
band in 8th grade, so I kind of know how to read it too, yeah.
I was in the band for a
Problem was the tuba notes
short
were all.
amount of
First, I
time.
was in the
Played
bass,
the bass.
class, and all of the notes were on the bottom of the scale, so it was very weird compared to trying to read notes for the tin whistle. Oh God, my hands are freezing. Jeff, I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of trying to get my brain into a situation where I know what I'm doing. I just closed the one tab I was trying to actually go to. Let me open that now. I think we'll be good to go.
Sorry, everyone. That was not Wind Waker, by the way. That's Donkey Kong Country 2. I should learn Dragon Roost Island though, and some of the other ones. Well, Dragon Roost Island, maybe that makes sense.
Okay.
Doesn't?
I'm
Okay.
gonna tweet.
Oh, you should too.
That'd be a good. That's a good idea. That's a good question. All right.
Chad, if you'd like to attend the Social Impact Games Roundtable,
Let's do the Nintendogs.
click the link below.
Everyone's going to hurt me today with their bad opinions about what Nintendo games are.
You were
overrated.
already yelling last night about this.
I was
Yeah.
very
It was
I'm
like
not in a
eat it.
very
Not gonna go
spicy
well.
mood last night. You know what it was? I didn't feel well, so I took a nap. Then I woke up and like I immediately started playing Halo. So I was like kind of groggy and sleepy
you were in a
and
mood.
confused. And then I had So I had it wasn't bad energy completely, but I had weird energy during Halo night. People will tell you.
It's good that you had your brothers to like contain you.
Contain me. I just screamed at them.
Well, but you like you direct
They
your energy
absorb- they
towards
absorb
them.
that.
Yeah,
That's true. I did direct my energy towards them. Yes.
it's like it's like a big shield blast.
Okay. I think I'm good.
Okay.
You good?
Have
Thanks,
fun.
Christian.
Okay. Thank you, Christian.
Oh, the NFT story's doing good.
Good thing it has a picture. Yeah, it is doing it. How about that?
Yeah, mostly from Twitter. Jeez. Okay. Hello. All right, Mike. Let's get our video. There we go. Let me fix the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, we have it's a good day. Gamesbeat.com. Oh, I'm warm up, hands. God damn.
Mike
You're
is
outside
dying.
for like 2 seconds. I think I might be. I'm a dying light. 2.
Okay. I'll count down. I will hit record, I will ban Mint Saka for saying Pikmin is boring, and then we'll get started, okay?
Mitsaka might be right though.
Oh my god. I feel like my voice is dropping out when I speak a little bit lowly. Like if I get down here. No, I don't know.
You're just crazy. It turns
Okay,
out.
all right, whatever. It's fine.
Turns out Oogway was just a crazy sea turtle all along.
5, 4, 3.
Hey, you guys hear me? Start cheering now! Yeah, let's get this over with. Yeah.
Woof woof. Hi, I'm Mike Minotti, and I am a Nintendog,
Hi, I'm Jeff Grubb, and I am a Nintendog.
and we are the last of the Nintendogs. Today, we are getting ready for Arceus or Arceus, whatever that Pokemon loser's name is. We are talking about the most overrated Nintendo games of all time. We're probably going to get very mad at people's opinions, which is what gamers do best. And we're also talking about some of this other big news that has hit today regarding Respawn and Blizzard with new games. Jeff, how's it going? I understand you did not sleep very well. Poor guy.
Yeah, I didn't sleep much. It went like I'm like trying to write a review for some hardware, and I actually messed up the embargoes anyhow. So I thought it was this morning. So thankfully it's tomorrow, so I could still get it done.
There you go.
But like I was doing I was like working on that Star Wars story because I got like a tip that it was happening, so I was kind of getting things in place. And I heard it was an IGN exclusive, so I was like, I'm not gonna try to publish it before them because I know they'll have all of the exact right details, and I had like most of the details and some specifics wrong. So it was like, let's just wait. But like it was like still want to like get that stuff in place. So I was up late working, and then I was gonna like finish writing this hardware review, and then my kid like woke up at like 4 a.m. and was like, why aren't you in bed? I'm like, why aren't you in bed? What are you talking about? So I had to go put her back to bed, and then I fell asleep then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm tired, but you're also tired, and you did get some sleep, but it's just because today's been so wild, huh?
Yeah, gosh, it's been busy. Our event is going on. There's a lot happening there. We had big news today somehow already, and I still have other stuff getting ready for tomorrow. I have embargoes. We have the event, and then I also need to leave at some point because I'm going to Cleveland for the AEW show, which is going to be fun. But it's just like also like, oh, should I be doing that? But well, of course I'm going to do it because I paid money to do it already.
Mhm.
But it's like it's busy time, and it's very cold outside right now too. Which is
How much busier can it stay though? I mean, I know it's going to be busy because of our event, but for behind the scenes there, like we do a lot of that stuff pre-recorded. Almost all the stories are written up. You should be good on that front. It's really just like when that is happening alongside like all these news stories popping off. I feel like tomorrow is Wednesday. It should start to slow down by then. I think you should be good.
I think so. Well, I've had to like make sure we had like videos in all the stories once this go live. That I'm going to be asking you to help me with that though tomorrow since I'm going to be on the road
no problem.
a little bit. All right, but Jeff, why don't we get to some of this news then? Because there's been some big things happening. You talked about it a little bit, but what's going on with Respawn now?
Yeah. So I mean, as I think like I guess it was like 9 years ago, EA and Lucasfilm announced, hey, EA is going to be like exclusively making Star Wars, and it's going to be like a 10-year deal. And I remember at the time they announced DICE and Visceral will be making Star Wars games. DICE doesn't make Star Wars games anymore. Visceral doesn't exist anymore. And they are still going to keep making Star Wars games at EA, even going forward into the future beyond this 10-year deal. But it's all going to happen under the auspices, that's probably not the right use of that word, of Respawn Entertainment. So the company that makes Apex Legends made Titanfall, a studio that I'm a big fan of. It was founded by the people who made Modern Warfare at Infinity Ward and stuff like that. They are making 3 Star Wars games. The one we know about, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, that is getting a sequel. That's still coming. They also announced 2 other projects. One is from a studio we actually just wrote about them on GameSpeak last week. One of our freelancers, Aaron Kelly, wrote a story about Bit Reactor. It is former Firaxis people. So XCOM, mostly the XCOM people, but they've worked on other kinds of strategy games as well. But they'll be making a strategy/tactics Star Wars game in conjunction with Respawn, this Bit Reactor studio. And then there is a first-person shooter coming from the team that made Medal of Honor Above and Beyond. And if you don't know what that is,
VR game.
That's the VR game, right?
No,
now,
but people seemed kind of tepid on that VR game, right?
I think
no super plus
so.
about it.
That sounds right. I think like it was not one of the you have to get this VR games. It was never that. I think some people seem to like it fine, but no one was like, this is the VR game you have to play. So,
Sure.
but that team, that team is going to be making a traditional first person shooter. It's also like probably going to have to beef up in terms of size, because I think you can probably imagine a VR game, a little bit smaller team than making a full first person shooter, and this is supposed to be a full first person shooter. So
what do you mean by full first person shooter? Are we talking about something like a Battlefront and that it's going to have a major multiplayer component, or do you mean something like a big like it's going to be a single player first person shooter, but like really AAA and really big and really expanded? What are we expecting here?
I'm expecting something not Battlefront. They're definitely, no one's making Battlefront right now. I mean, I'm like very sure about that, but I've had some people like kind of ask me, "Hey, are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, DICE definitely isn't making it, and I'm pretty sure Respawn isn't. That the first person shooter they're making is not Battlefront. And I would know, but also like I've heard from some people kind of working on it, working close to it, that they're very excited about what it is. And they can't wait to tell people, but they haven't told me yet, so I don't know. But in terms of its scale, I mean, I know that they're like, that's what this whole announcement was about: hiring people. I think you tweeted about it, like this is a good time to get out there and say, hey, you're working on stuff, because you got to be able to bring people in.
Yeah.
Respawn is very much like okay with some people working remote, so they're trying to hire people all around the world. And and I think that what we could probably expect, I don't know. My hope is, and this is probably not right, but I would hope this is like a Dark Forces follow-up.
Sure,
I think that would be cool.
Jedi Knight reboot. That'd be amazing.
Jedi Knight reboot. I think they'd be very good at that, because I think that's like the kind of thing where it plays to their strengths. Like they're good at making shooters. They're good at making things with a lot of mobility. A Jedi shooter game would just be very cool in that way. But I don't know. That's just kind of a hope. That's wishful thinking.
Is this a lot for Respawn to take on? Is it just a matter of, they can just hire up and be fine? Like, are they reaching critical mass here at all?
It is a lot, but no one I've talked to seems that worried about it. To me, it just seems like they have these teams in place for the most part, and they're ready to either start working on these games in earnest, or they're ready to start hiring up so that they can fully work on these games as much as possible. They have the Apex Legends team, which is sort of operating under like its own momentum, right? Like that thing, it's a known quantity. They know what to expect in terms of revenue. They know what they can do to like keep that game going forward. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2 is going to be a game where they've made one of those. They're making a second one. Some of that'll be easier, but they know what they need in terms of team size to make that happen. And now they have this VR team that's transitioning to first person shooter team. Like that team's already in place. Like the key players are already there. The director of the Medal of Honor game is directing this first person shooter. So it's like, basically, they just got to hire up the talent. I think they should be able to do that. And then they're working with Bit Reactor on the strategy game. It actually doesn't sound like all that much. I mean, of course, they are also prototyping a first-person shooter with mobility and stuff like that and style.
That's not related to this Star Wars.
It's not related to the Star Wars. Yes,
and also not Titanfall 3. So
exactly.
They're working on 2 first-person shooters, and neither of them are Titanfall 3.
That is very much still in the prototype phase, and I mean that like in the exact meaning of that word, prototyping, where there are a few people who are coming up with as many ideas as they possibly can for what that game could possibly be.
What comes of that? Maybe it does become Titanfall 3. Maybe it becomes nothing.
It's 24, 25. Yeah, exactly. Maybe nothing. Maybe Titanfall 3. Maybe it becomes its own thing. It's all still on the table right now. They are just coming up with the gameplay ideas though, and that's where they're at.
Okay, a couple more questions here. So you say Star Wars games beyond this. So the deal is done. But you also mentioned in your story how Respawn or EA wants to double down on its own properties. Like, are there Star Wars games from EA beyond these 3? What's the future of Star Wars in EA and Respawn?
I think, as far as I'm aware, and I think this is what this announcement was half about, other than like getting like people like the news out there that they're hiring and telling people that they're not working on Battlefront 3. I think this is just kind of saying no. Like all of Star Wars is at EA is happening at Respawn, and everyone else at EA is working on something else, almost certainly an IP that is already owned by EA. So, BioWare is not going to go back to do more Star Wars other than, I mean, obviously there's the Old Republic. Like the Old Republic is going to be its own thing from now into the future and stuff like that. But they're going to be working on Mass Effect and Dragon Age. And I can't remember the name of the studio that is working on Dead Space. Is it Motive? like they're going to be working on Dead Space, another EA owned property. They could have made a Star Wars game. They have made Star Wars games. That's not what they're doing anymore. I think a big thing is EA has like sort of reassessed the risk, and I think they've done some math in their head where they're like, hey, before it was like making a big game is risky. We should have a big IP that's like huge. They can attract a lot of people. And now they're looking at like making a big game based on a big IP is expensive because we have to pay licensing fees. Let's go ahead and cut that out and focus on stuff that we already know can sell. And we know that we can do it because we've done it with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and it sold not just because the IP, because it was a very good game. We can make very good games, and we look around and we see Resident Evil succeeding. So we're going to try to copy that sort of that method, and I think that's what their strategy is right now.
So, but at Respawn, then there could still be more Star Wars games. Like if Jedi Fallen Order 2 does well, will there be a Jedi Fallen Order 3?
I would say probably. I say that if Jedi Fallen Order 2 is like a significant increase in sales, I would bet that team immediately goes and does a 3, and then at that point they reassess like
it's just
a good strong trilogy,
kind of like what like Ubisoft gets or what Quantum gets.
Yeah, exactly. And I think EA wants to have a lot of partners out there, but they want to have a lot of partners that like know what they're doing. And at that point, if you're working on your third Jedi game, they're like, okay, well, we can fully trust you now. We can sort of like focus some of our efforts on building up these new partnerships that we're just getting off the ground. So yeah.
All right, Jeff. One last question here: are any of these games coming to a Nintendo platform that Respawn's working on?
I don't know, but I mean, I would imagine that strategy game probably could. The XCOM games came to Switch, right? I think that's right. So why wouldn't this new one come here? I think that would make a lot of sense. I doubt that the new first. I mean, who knows? By the time these games come out, we could have a new Switch. So. At that point, maybe. But even then, I think that the EA and Respawn's focus is going to be on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
All right, Jeff. Other big news. So Blizzard just kind of came out and said, hey, we are making a new game. Doesn't have a name. Here's like 2 pieces of concept art. It's a new IP. It's a survival game. And we want you to come work on it, right? And there's a lot of that in this EA thing too, where they were like half like recruitment drives as much as they were announcements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is this whole new thing of just how the industry has gotten, where you have to announce projects maybe much earlier than you normally would have before they have a name, just because you need people to work on them, especially for Blizzard right now, which has been hemorrhaging talent. People have been leaving and they have a hard time recruiting because who wants to work at Blizzard right now after the 2021 that they had? But, maybe, an Xbox, new management, and also, wow, look, we're making this brand new thing. It's like when we did Overwatch. Don't you want to be involved in making the next Overwatch? And we don't mean Overwatch 2. We mean like, the next big thing. So it's like a sales pitch more than anything else. I wonder how many more announcements like this we're going to get in the future. Like, is that era of the big E3 announcement dying in favor of this sort of thing? Or is it only last while talent is so in demand?
Yeah, it's probably something that will fade away once talent becomes plentiful again. I think we are probably quite some way from that point. A big part of that is, the pandemic definitely tightened things up. A lot of people are resigning. A lot of that, I think that's overstated in actual professional fields. Like the Great Resignation is kind of overstated in white collar jobs and like development jobs. That's actually not happening quite as much as it is like people who are afraid to like go work jobs, like working at a restaurant. That's where a lot of the resignations are happening. But even in this new world, even when like things sort of do like loosen up again, hang on, I got a kid screaming at me.
Nice. There it is.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. Continue.
Yeah. Yes. So even once this stuff starts to lighten up and like people aren't resigning or whatever, or the pandemic makes it a little bit easier to find people, we're going to be in a new world where remote work is a lot more popular. And that doesn't mean like, I will be able to find people everywhere. You're going to have to find people everywhere. The bigger problem for these companies is that the person working at your studio right now can work anywhere, and they have a lot of like institutional knowledge built in, and you've done a lot of work to make sure they're up to speed on your project, and they don't have to uproot their family to go work at another studio in another city. They could just continue their life as normal and go work for any studio, like a number of massive studios anywhere in the world, and just continue living working at home. And that's going to keep this labor market pretty tight for quite some time. And also we see, companies like Microsoft spending $69 billion trying to buy a bunch of content. There's a lot of money going into making a lot of games. This stuff is not going to slow down on that front. So there's going to be a huge demand for talent for a long time. So I think you're generally right that we are going to be seeing a lot of announcements like this where you have to do everything you can to get people excited to come work on your game. And if that means telling them basically kind of what it is, maybe you want to come work on this kind of game at this studio. If you're Blizzard right now, especially, you have to do everything you possibly can to get people excited to come work for you, because you just had such a rough time over the last year with that.
Blizzard has an incubator kind of a setup there, and it seems like it hadn't produced anything for a while. I assume this is a result of that. And the kind of early scuttlebutt is that internally people are pretty excited about this project, which you would hope so if they're kind of straight up. They're put, even though it's a non-announcement, it's still an announcement, and they're putting it out there. And if this thing doesn't come out or something, it is kind of egg on their face, right? So
yes, absolutely.
Good. Yeah, it's interesting. So the concept art, it shows two teenagers from the modern world, kind of in a fantasy world. That genre has a name apparently in Japanese anime. I only found out because everybody was asking if Final Fantasy Origin was one of those, or people assumed it was because that main character looks so. But for Spoken, it's the same thing, right? It's that genre where a person from contemporary time gets.
Oh, okay.
It's a kid in King. It's a knight in King Arthur's court or whatever.
Right. It's like the Fat Albert movie.
I didn't. Okay. Yes, it's exactly like the Fat Albert movie, Jeff. Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So that's going to be interesting to look out for. Two more blatant Nintendo news here. There might be another Kirby game coming, at least according to the last issue of a Japanese Nintendo magazine called Nintendo Dream. They said, translated apparently, in addition to detailed news about Kirby and the Forgotten Land, we've also included a new game that we didn't expect. I have a feeling that the new title will be announced by then, something like that. So that doesn't even read to me obliquely that it's another Kirby game, but that's kind of what the direction everyone's going with this. So I don't really know. I'm not getting my hopes up on what this could mean.
I mean, because you got to remember, Kirby can be anything. Kirby can be a little free game added to the Switch eShop. Right. That really is something we will all forget.
Kirby Fighters 3.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Some people have been freaking out about this. So, Isekai. Isekai, I think, is the name of that genre. In
Astro Zombie says it's pronounced Easy Guy. Easy Guy.
Easy Guy. Okay. Thank you. Me and Mike actually write down everything phonetically because we're just very stupid. So thank you for your help there. That's very true. So we'll see. Although the one interesting thing here, though, is that this magazine's maybe it'll be announced before our next issue, is maybe that Nintendo Direct is actually going to happen mid-February. Maybe. Yeah, that still sounds right. That sounds like the timing for some news from Nintendo. I would not be surprised at all if that's when it happened. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is going to be the next Nintendo Switch Online game, and that's going to be coming out in February. We have Banjo-Kazooie out now. The emulation seems to be improved a little bit. I think input lag is still a little bit of a problem, if not maybe a big problem. I don't know. But again, Majora's Mask is another one for me. I would just play the 3DS version, so going back to Nintendo that's fair. Yeah. The N64 and Switch is getting better, but still, you're right. That they have, when they upgrade these games, it is a little bit of a bummer to try to go back to the ROMs. I agree. Jeff, for a long time, we couldn't believe that Pokemon Legends Arceus was coming out soon, and there seemed to be no buzz for it. The buzz is finally here. It has arrived. It has arrived. Some people in Japan have played it at a preview event, and they seem to be pretty excited about it. I'm skeptical of that. Me too. Skeptical of Japanese previews because they are almost always sort of glowing, right? Right. So this is information that I'm getting from Japanese previews that are maybe siphoned through Nintendo already and then being translated for our sake, right? Right. So, exactly. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It reminds me of when movies come out that nobody likes, but the preview, like Star Wars Episode 9, right? Everyone loves it. I remember when. Do you remember when Harry from Ain't It Cool
like some guy like stopped him at a convention. It's like, hey, I have Attack of the Clones. You want to come up to my hotel room and watch it? And he thought he was going to get killed because who wouldn't want to kill that guy? But he went up to the room, and it was actually like a rough cut of Attack of the Clones. Eventually, that guy got arrested a couple years later and like faced a lot of problems. But yeah, that happened.
I forgot about that.
I mean, it's happening here again, although it's really just stores breaking street dates and Laura Kate Dale getting a chance to play it. And this is where I actually got excited. So the game is out there. Someone's, someone who's like taste I have like some like familiarity with in Laura Kate Dale. And she's like, yeah, this is the most fun I've had with a Pokemon game in years. And she's played a lot of Pokemon recently. And she's like, this one's very good. I'm like, still, there's always a chance that it's like, the newness is doing a lot of the work, that the novelty, it's like a novelty effect.
Sure, but just the idea of a Pokemon game with novelty is actually exciting in and of itself. I'll be honest.
It's such a good point. Like, yeah, like if that's all it is, that's still a lot for a Pokemon game. I'm excited, Mike. I'm there. I'm ready to play this thing.
I'm into it. I'm ready. I've been waiting for like a reason to get like really enthusiastic about Pokemon again. It's been a while, so that'll be exciting. But
what day does this game actually launch? Because there's like people in our chat that are playing it. There's like,
well, I think they may. Let's not rat anybody up, but they may have gotten the leak. It comes out like the 28th or 29th, right? So I think the 29th actually.
Okay.
Something weird like that. I know it's a Saturday, but
I guess I was assuming everyone was getting like a street date broken copy. I guess that's not necessarily the only way you can get these sort of things.
Really, how
thank you. Yes, I'm being very naive over here.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's coming on a Friday. Okay, so who knows? Maybe we'll download it earlier and play it before games beat the sides. Probably not. We'll probably be busy.
Yep.
All right. Next story here. Oh, so apparently, speaking of Zelda, there has been work on a Ocarina of Time port for PC by fans that's about 90% complete, and VGC did a story on this. That's pretty interesting because once you have like, not like an emulator, but a full-on PC port of Zelda 64, you can do a lot of fun things with that, huh?
Yeah, you can all kinds of mods, like very easily moddable. I loved when people like put in the Silicon Graphics like advertisement art for Mario 64's PC port. And I'm like, man, I would love to see that, but with that Space World, like almost wireframe version of Link that they had in that very first one, that very first video of that game when it was like just Zelda 64. I would love to play the whole game like that. That would be incredible.
Life is Strange Remaster Collection for Nintendo Switch has been delayed to later this year. Jeff, I don't think either of us are big Life is Strange people.
Yeah, nothing against it. I feel like I'm going to get around to this Life is Strange True Colors. Eventually, it takes place in Colorado, so I should just like be a homer, but I have not played it yet. I'm not like when something like this happens, it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised and kind of no hair off my nuts, Mike, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Maybe this is a problem. I feel like I'm too old for things about teenage angst. Like, I not that like I'm always against those things, but usually when media heavily centers around that, I'm not as into it as clearly I once was. You know?
Yeah.
Like even the newer Spider-Man movies sometimes, like Spider-Man Far From Home. So much of that was about like teenage stuff, and I'm like, okay.
I feel like I'm not going to agree with you here, Mike, because I don't know if that's exactly what the story. You're probably right, but. I'm going to assume you're just speaking out of your ass and don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah, I completely disagree.
Fair enough. Well, someone can yell at me. I'm sure they will. They always do. Someone will yell at me if I am wrong. All right, Jeff, we got some questions here. And we also are going to talk about this topic, most overrated Nintendo games. We'll give our answers. Our community has a lot of answers. If you want to give us your answers and you are watching now, you can send us a super chat. You can also send us a question on super chat. We've gotten a few of those already, and we will read those in a little bit. Let's get to these community questions first. Jeff, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Winnie Let Go Let's Godzilla says, what would have to happen for Nintendo to change their button layout? My muscle memory is very confused when jumping from Switch to Xbox. I'm about to just repaint my Switch controller's buttons and remap. Well, they would never do it, because for one thing, they'll be like, and rightfully so, ours is older, and also we're Nintendo. We don't change for anybody else. I think we're stuck with it. Jeff, I think it's my superpower that this stuff has never bothered me. I've always just been like a chameleon when it comes to these control schemes and different controllers.
Yeah,
I never have an issue going from one to the other. But I've always owned a lot of platforms, and I've always switched between them a lot. So
I won't say that it never trips me up. It does happen occasionally, but this is definitely not as much of a problem for me as it is for some. My big thing is I do get a little bit annoyed that Nintendo like switched up their own layout from what they had before. Because like I gotta look it up. I'm gonna look up the GameCube controller.
Hasn't it always been?
I think they missed.
Hasn't it always been B is the bottom button?
So,
Super Nintendo.
But like, okay, so where is the Y on the Switch? Where's the Y button?
Y is the left button. That's the left.
On the GameCube, it's the top button. And
Well,
on
the GameCube was like the beans.
Yeah, but it's like, but even like, why would you? Okay,
GameCube, it's the right.
That's the whole point, though. They've switched it around from platform to platform. This is my whole point.
The important there was that the Y is still on the top, so then the X is just the other bean button. That's how it makes sense to me in a dumb, weird way.
Yeah,
but they should have just stuck with that. They should have just stuck with the GameCube perfection. I agree, but people wouldn't go with that.
Yeah, we've ever since we moved away from the GameCube controller, we've been moving away from God's light.
God.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is fine. I switched to. I'm fine.
Oh, you switch all right. Pablo Cross says, question for Jeff. You have the skill. You have the team. You have the money. Even Shiggy's blessing. Would you develop a Karnov game that's exclusive for the Switch? And if so, what kind of game would that be?
I mean, if I have the skill and the team and the money and Shiggy's blessing, well, of course I make it. Like you could make a really great Karnov game. I feel like you go whole hog and you make it a 3D platformer, make it very much based on the ladder and just pulling the ladder out of your pocket, dropping it where. Make it like a fast-paced Death Stranding where you're putting the ladder over these gaps and stuff.
I kind of assume it would be like a Yakuza game where it'd be very silly but also intricate.
That'd be fun too. That's a good idea too. I just like so much of Karnov is just like having a ladder as a power up. Like so many like video games, it's like, oh, you just jump higher, you get a double jump, and Karnov's like, no, he's a big fat guy. He needs a ladder. Like,
it's
please,
not a ladder though.
I'm like, something about that is very fun to me. So yes, I would absolutely do it. We're gonna make it happen. Check out my Kickstarter.
Casual says Oscar Isaac, American, speaks with an American accent in The Force Awakens. Daisy Ridley, British, speaks with a British accent. John Boyega, British man speaking with American accent in The Force Awakens. Why? He says Skywalker Saga is coming to Switch, so this counts as a Nintendo question. Yeah, I don't know. When you put it like that, it feels like they kind of made John Boyega sound more American for no reason.
I think the reason is because it's like that is the history of Star Wars. Like the British voices are the bad guys, and
Not always. I mean, no. Obi-Wan Kenobi was very British.
Yeah, but like even he was like doing like almost a mid-Atlantic rather than a full British. Like
he's doing a very soft British thing, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like if you are
sure,
and also he's a Jedi. He's a Jedi, and it's like a little bit different. Like he's like upper crust, right? And
sure.
if you're like someone who was stolen away and like are in the lowest rungs of some sort of empire like thing, you're probably supposed to be like fighting against the empire. You're supposed to have an American accent in the Star Wars universe because it's always kind of been about imperial powers and stuff. And when Lucas made that, it was kind of like he was definitely modeling that after the American Revolution and also a little bit after Vietnam and stuff, of course. But whatever, yeah.
Reese Elliott says, if you could give any Nintendo property the Breath of the Wild treatment, what would you choose? After Halo Infinite, I'd love to see an open world Metroid Prime. See, to me, like Metroid Prime's already kind of open worldy. I know what they mean. But like, I guess I like it. So it'd be like taking Arkham Asylum and turning it into Arkham City, right? And this is personally for Metroid. I think I like it being more like Arkham Asylum. But for me, I want the Star Tropics game just because my brain is lazy, and Star Tropics is already like Zelda 1. So if you make this kind of big budget Zelda 1, you should make a big budget Star Tropics next. There's even that one like little town in Breath of the Wild that has very much a Star Tropics vibe, and by that I mean a Polynesian vibe. So that's what I would like. Jeff, how about you?
I forgot the question. You just
nice.
What Breath of the Wild treatment, right? Yeah. I don't know. Mario Kart. Why not? The Mario Kart with Breath of the Wild. You're just driving open
you mean
world.
Forza Horizon with Mario Kart?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
that's what you want. Yeah, you didn't even think about it. That's the first thing that came to your mind, so you pretended like it was your answer.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Velocity Prime 1 says, I got a Raspberry Pi for Christmas, and I've loaded it up with basically every game from before the year 2000. So my question, what are some good retro multiplayer games outside the usual canon? I already wrapped up the Streets of Rage series, Trolls in Time, Mario Kart, and the big fighting game franchises. Recommendations outside of that would be great. Play the Rocky and Pocky games. Rocky and Pocky 1 and 2 are very fun co-op games. Definitely play Gunstar Heroes if you haven't. Same thing with like Contra Hardcore or Contra 3. I know those are super obscure or anything. Rocky and Pocky, I guess, would be my good obscure games. They're making a new Rocky and Pocky, by the way. That's exciting. I'm all about that. Jeff, any recommendations for retro co-op games? Oh, play Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers also for 1 and 2 for the NES.
Yeah. In terms of fighting games, let's just stick with the theme today. Karnov's Revenge. It is the sequel to Karnov, and it's a fighting game. And it's wild that it ever happened at all. It's I don't. There must be some huge Karnov thing, a fandom in some other countries, and it just didn't port over here. I don't know. And in terms of like cooperative games, I feel like I like he's got a Raspberry Pi. He got it recently. I bet you could run like Gauntlet on like the Gauntlet for N64, the one that was
like
the
Gauntlet
arcade.
Legends or whatever.
Gauntlet Legends, yeah. I think
pretty cool.
I think you'd have a good time with that. That's like a really just good sort of if you're playing with other people, you can have a good time with that over like an hour and a half, just sort of spamming in virtual quarters and stuff.
It says Dinosaurs and Cadillacs. Hey, if you have a Raspberry Pi, you could probably get MAME on there and get some of like the pretty cool arcade beat 'em ups. Like there's that amazing Golden Axe sequel, Revenge of Death Adder, that looks amazing, but never got ported to a console. Like it's by far the coolest looking Golden Axe game. So I would get that. Also, apparently it's Pocky and Rocky, not Rocky and Pocky. So I am incredibly embarrassed.
That brings us to today's poll. Is Mike wrong? 76% have said yes so far. 24% say no. So
wrong about what? Just wrong?
Just wrong.
Was I a mistake?
Yes. Are you wrong?
Am I wrong? Oh, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. All right. Next question here from B Papa. Given we're a little more than a week away from Nintendo's investor relations reports, any sales predictions on 2021's Switch games? I've been hoping for months Metroid Dread would be able to do 5 million, but it not making the top 10 and NPD year-end has me worried. Yeah, I'm kind of a little cool on the whole 5 million thing for Metroid Dread. Maybe by the end of this year it could do that. I don't know. Probably not. I think we're going to be happy with it being like the best-selling Metroid game, and that'll be the highest accolade we get for it, not 5 million. But for this year, I mean, Arceus is going to probably sell yeah, it should. It sounds ridiculous, but that should sell 10 million copies, right? If people like it a lot, and it's a Pokemon game. Like things could depend. Like Pokemon Snap seems like it kind of underwhelmed, right? But that's such a smaller thing than what this is supposed to be. Like if you're trying to make the quote unquote Breath of the Wild Pokemon game, it should sell pretty well. Breath of the Wild Pokemon, like that should be the best selling game on the Switch this year, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, right. It should be. I think so.
Like what else? I mean, it's going to sell more than Bayonetta 3.
Yeah,
it's going to sell more than Kirby.
I'll tell you what, I could sit here and tell you that B Papa was asking like sales predictions for last year's games in this upcoming Nintendo Investor Relations report. So that's what he's asking. Like, what games do you think sold best from last year?
You tell you what, Mike Minotti is wrong. You're correct.
76. It's still stuck at 76%. We got to do something about this. Everyone in chat, get into that poll.
That's pretty high already. Okay, so any sales predictions for 2021 Switch games? I mean, I think everything. I bet Mario Party. Whatever the new one was called, Superstar. Yeah, Mario Party Superstar will probably have better legs than a lot of them. Same thing with like the Pokemon remakes will keep selling for a bit still. But yeah, it's like I don't think Metroid Dread. I think Metroid Dread is going to show up in the top 10 again anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that when they report the numbers, we'll probably get something like Metroid Dread is we'll probably get numbers for that, and I bet it's going to be at like 2.9 million so far.
Man, I'd be disappointed. I'd hope it's past 3 million.
I mean,
if it's what you're saying, it wouldn't be the best-selling Metroid game yet.
Yeah,
or would
but
almost be.
But that's like that'll be through what? Through the end of December. I bet by now. I think it's probably going to be. It's going to get to 3 million within a year for sure. No doubt at this point. But yeah, I bet that's it. And then I'm trying to think of like other things like that came out.
Pokemon's the other big thing. It's kind of like almost boring to even think about. How much did the latest Pokemon remake make?
Mario Party probably got to like 5 million already or something like that.
Mario Party Superstar probably did very well. Gosh, what else was there? I feel like I'm forgetting Nintendo games. Again, Pokemon Snap I don't think did that well. I think that might be just like 2 million, maybe 2.5 million. Again, not did that well, right? 2.5 million copies sold. Did well enough, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
But yeah. We'll cover that when it happens.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Waiting for that to happen. Nintendo Bro, what's the worst take you've heard since the start of the show? I don't know if you mean the show in general or the show today. We haven't gotten to some of these awful takes yet. I mean, Turbo Sean's Super Metroid isn't good. Actually, thing was pretty rough, and I think this actually comes up later too. But Nick Turbo's whole the Super Smash Brothers Brawl intro is better than Smash Brothers Melee intro was baffling. Then he was baffled that apparently that was an unpopular opinion. So those are two that stick out for me. I don't know, Jeff. Was there anything that's upset
yes,
you?
since starting the show today, someone said Pikmin was boring. That's pretty bad.
That's true. That they did
Pretty
say
upset
that.
about that. But yeah, I can't think of anything else beyond that though. It's all bad takes. It's all bad takes all the way down.
Greatest McBasketball, did they ever let you two out of Nintendo jail? Well, we did not get Pokemon Code early.
Correct.
So we're not out of jail. Now, I've kind of like been strategic when I ask if we can get out of jail. Last time I asked was before Metroid Dread. So this next one is going to be before Kirby, and it'll be a year, and I will be like, look, it's been a year. Like, I'm sorry, but like, can we maybe move on now? I don't know. If they never let us out, it's clearly fine. We launched this podcast inside of Nintendo jail, really, right?
Yep.
So it's not like we're becoming less authoritative on Nintendo. We're doing just fine. It certainly, I will say, I feel like it certainly hurts them more than it hurts us.
That's right.
We typically like Nintendo
Yeah,
games,
and it doesn't hurt us at all. Like we've been able to cover them just fine. Yeah.
It really doesn't. So, we'll ask them. It's almost more the principle of the thing on my end. Like, this is stupid.
It's been a year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but look, if they want to keep doing it, that's their prerogative. It's fine. Screaming Madden, which Nintendo World area or level would make for the best Hitman level? New Donk City, Goron City from Breath of the Wild, Garrick Mach from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Anywhere else you Nintendogs think? How about Big Blue? How about Big Blue from like F-Zero GX, something super sci-fi-y? Maybe that's a bit too high concept. I don't know. This is a great question, though, huh?
Yeah, sorry. And Microsoft just reported earnings, so I was trying to see if there's anything too interesting there.
Right.
I forgot about
that. Was
that.
coming too.
Yeah, we did.
You can write about that after this.
I'll write about it after this.
We can also we can flag it for Rachel right now. She can
I'll put it in there, but I'm not gonna I'm just gonna put it in there. If she grabs it, she grabs it. If she doesn't, she doesn't.
Fair.
I don't want her to feel
enough.
Okay.
But this is a good question, Jeff. It's what Nintendo World area or level would you turn into a Hitman level if you could?
Ooh, that is a good one. The GoldenEye, like kind of the snowy level in GoldenEye. Maybe I'm thinking it's snowy, but maybe the opening level of GoldenEye.
The opening level was the Hoover Dam, isn't it?
Hoover Dam, yes, Hoover Dam, yeah.
Hoover Dam would actually be a pretty sweet level, actually.
Yeah.
Like a giant dam. Like there's the obvious, you just toss the person over the side of the dam, but you can probably flood an area and get them that way.
Right, and there's there's the water cleaning thing. Obviously, that probably doesn't really exist, but you could like chop them up in there. And it says the thing where there's like the two main areas. There's like the industrial side of things, and then there's the tourist side of things. And you could have both side by side and like go between both of them like a good Hitman level. So yeah, that's my answer.
This is pretty good. All of his were good. Garrick Mach from Fire Emblem 3 would be funny.
Yeah.
These are all good ideas. Jumpmat says, Jeff, you mentioned not liking any Yoshi games since the original Yoshi's Island. Did you play Yoshi's Woolly World on Wii U? That really connected for me.
I don't think I did. So I guess I could try. Just it seemed like it's kind of in that same vein as some of these other ones. Like I bought the one for Switch and it's been kind of a slog. So
yeah, I mean, I played Woolly World. It didn't do much for me, and these days I have a very hard time differentiating between Woolly World and Crafted World, even though I played both of them. So it didn't do much for me. But no, you could try it. Maybe it'll hit.
Yeah, I feel like I just got my the DSi XL. I might just go back and play the Yoshi's Island DS game, which was kind of okay. It still wasn't as good as original Yoshi's Island. Or I'm just gonna play Kirby's Canvas Curse. That's a good game. I've been playing forever. That's a good game.
Didn't they port Woolly World to 3DS? They ported one of them, and it wasn't crafted.
I think they did. They did because that's when they released all those shorts where Poochie and Yoshi play together. My kids love those. So they literally just a couple hours ago came downstairs screaming like, Poochie, where are you? And Emmy had Yoshi, like a big Yoshi doll in their hands, and then they got him and they screamed and went to go play somewhere. So Yeah, they love that stuff.
Skittiddle says, both of you pick a random day in February you think we could see the next Direct. I'll go with the 15th. How's that sound? February 15th, next Direct.
The Ides of February, right?
Yeah, right. Well, it's on Tuesday, so.
I don't know. I'll go with when do they normally do them on Tuesdays? Because they don't do them on Fridays, right?
I don't know when they do them.
Saturday.
To be honest.
I'll say I'll say the 24th.
Okay.
I'll say late in the month.
I like it. I like it. And then Low Religion says, do you know what this is in reference to, and why is The Rock going to be Ganondorf in a live-action Zelda? So The Rock tweeted earlier today that he's going to be in a new video game movie. He won't say what it is, but it's a game he's been playing for years, so he's excited. What's weird about this is that it could mean anything, and it could all be. It's like somebody said on Twitter, I forget it was, like, I think he's going to be Funky Kong in the Donkey Kong Country movie, and no, I'm not joking. And like, why not?
Yeah,
Sure.
Honestly. Like, after that Mario casting news, you cannot discount that possibility.
Right. People are, like, joking, like, haha, Mike, he's going to be in the Mega Man movie. I'm like, they would absolutely cast him as Dr. Light in a Mega Man movie in 2022.
Yes.
Like, sure, they'll do that. I don't even know if I'd hate it. I can't even tell anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know
fine.
what's real.
I'll watch a Rock movie, no matter what he's doing. Yeah.
So, who knows?
It's Hotel Dusk. It's Hotel Dusk, the DS game. He's going to be in that, and the main character, the detective. So
it could be anything. It could just be a Call of Duty game, and he's going to just be in Army Drags or something, you know? Like,
Fusion Frenzy.
Fusion game I've been playing for years.
Yeah.
The Rock just never put it that. Well, he was a big Xbox original ally, right? So
it all fits. It all fits.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, Jeff, that's it for the questions we got from the community. Do you want to read some of these super chats here?
I do. Let's see. We got the big one here from Abe Froman 3. Hey, Mike and Jeff, here's some coin for the inevitable Arby's Diablo challenge. Thank you both and the rest of the Games Beat crew for all your great work and content. Also, Jeff, props to your podcast marathon last week. Yeah, thank you so much.
On a lot of podcasts.
I was on at least one per day, and on Tuesday and Friday I was on like 2, and I jumped on the Kind of Funny Games cast one day for a little bit. Yeah, it was a lot. I had a hard time saying no to people because so many people were like, "Hey, please come on." I'm like, okay, yeah, but I appreciate that, Abe, and yeah, I was gonna do the Diablo challenge during this episode, but now we've had a blizzard outside, which is why I got 2 kids over here instead of just one.
It's been too much. Just been too much news, anyways. Maybe Friday you can do that.
Yep. Let's see. RDX son of a fet. Greenberg's pick set the internet on fire. Lol. Did Aaron Greenberg post a picture? I didn't see this. Aaron.
Oh yeah, Greenberg. He did that. He posted a picture of him and Crash Bandicoot together. It's something got like real mad, of course, right?
Right.
And then he was like, "Guys, lighten up." Basically, like Sony doesn't even own. Never owned Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, for real.
So get over it.
Let's see. From Supernova, is the acquisition of Blizzard a monopoly compared to the NVIDIA operation on the British arm? So I think the British corporation ARM, which designs a lot of chips that are used in a lot of devices, it's used in, iPhone, even though it's using Apple Silicon, and the Macs, they use Apple Silicon now. Those are ARM devices that are designed by ARM or in cooperation with ARM. NVIDIA is trying to basically acquire them for like $40 billion, not even as much as Activision. And yet, I think that the reason that people are looking at this is because NVIDIA is actually like the leader in the chip space on the graphics side. Now, if they have ARM, they'll be the leader basically in the future on the CPU side, and everything would have to go through NVIDIA. It's a little, especially when it's like something like chips that have already been in the news for the shortages, and like they're strategically important. Like video games are video games. Like we could be clear on that. Computer chips go in missiles. They go in cars. They go in tanks. They go in spaceships.
Different.
Like, yeah, it's like the entire economy relies on them, and also all of war now relies on them. So it's like why Intel is putting a $20 billion computer chip plant in Ohio now. But it's like, so they take this a little bit more seriously. It is actually not comparable at all, really, from one to the other. The NVIDIA ARM one is going to get a lot more scrutiny, and deservedly so. All right, from Nintendo Bro, more likely game of the year, Arceus or Stranger of Paradise?
I can't. Is it Stranger Paradise or Stranger in Paradise? I never can't keep
I think
it
it's
straight.
I think it's Stranger of Paradise.
I think it is. It'll be Arceus. Stranger of Paradise is going to have a big snakes on a plane effect. Everybody loves it before it comes out because they think it's funny, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, we're in on this joke," and then when it actually comes out, a lot of people won't actually care. It turns out, and they won't actually show up.
Do you know what's cheap? Memes. Do you know what costs money? Buying a video game.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what happens. That's what happens with Snakes on a Plane. Very easy to make jokes on the internet, and then like actually getting some friends together to go watch it in a movie theater. That's like that's a bit too much work. I'm just gonna go find the next joke because we've already moved on. For Matthew Price, what Nintendo games are y'all most excited for? I know
Kirby
last year.
Right now.
What's that?
Kirby right now.
Yeah, Kirby's a big one. I'm like
things that are actually announced, right? Like not like Metroid Prime 4, I guess, is announced, but that still feels so nebulous to me. I can't get excited for it yet. So yeah, Kirby.
I'm getting up there for Splatoon 3. I played some Splatoon 2 the other day and had a really good time. So yeah, I'm ready for some more Splatoon. Let's see. From Poston Theory, Super Metro. Oh, this is okay. So I'm just gonna read it now. Super Metroid, Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, worst games ever.
Yes, those are in fact the worst games ever made in the history of the world.
I'm reading it because he's clearly those aren't even a real answer to the topic. He's just like actually trolling. From Supernova, Mike, if you were offered $8 million in marketing for the Arby's restaurant brand and were asked by Arby's to give up Games Beat Decides episodes, would you choose marketing or Jeff?
Wait, so you're asking me if I would pass up $8 million to work for Arby's as their brand? And all I have to do is stop doing podcasts with this episode, with this asshole. Like, yeah, I'll take the $8 million. Please.
Wow, I see how it is.
You guys have fun with the new host, AJ Minotti, or whatever Jeff has to do. It'll probably just be Rachel. You guys will like her more than me anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
You won't disagree with her opinions. So yeah, we'll all be happier.
For Brett Bingham, have you seen the Xbox versus Sony Avengers Endgame video on Reddit? It's hilarious. Yeah, I saw it. I think those ones for me, they're a bit too cheesy for me. I
know what you mean. It is a bit. It's a bit cringy, but it was pretty well done and kind of funny.
It was pretty. I mean, it's like this is. I get what they're going for here. I'm not against it. People can have their fun.
It's a bit fanboy-y, I will admit, but it was fun.
From V Simco. Time traveling podcast, Jeff. I'm not sure. Yeah, I definitely did some of that too over the weekend where I was on one and then that would come out after the next one was on. Sure. And then, yeah, if that's what you're referring to. But yeah, sure. Also, yes, I time travel frequently. I'm a ninja and I cut through time. Mike,
do they do that?
Yeah, it's my understanding how ninjas work, Mike. Jesus.
I don't think you understand anything about ninjas then. I think Jeff Grubb is wrong.
I am caught up on super chats.
That's great, Jeff. Before we get into this topic, why don't we take a short break, and then we will talk about those most overrated Nintendo games, and no one will get mad about anything. We'll be right back. Guess what I have to do?
Yep, do your business, sir. Hello, everybody. It's happening. He's not going to mute himself, so we're all going to get a show.
Get that.
All right. How's everybody doing today? I don't have a tin whistle. I should steal one of Mike's tin whistles, or I should upstage him and actually go get like an alto saxophone because I could play that a little bit. That could be pretty fun. Let's see. Let's end this poll. 77% say Mike is wrong, just in general. He's giggling. It's a stupid asshole. I hate that he can hear us. This is upsetting. Someone say something you want me to tell him because he's just gonna. Jeff, when are we playing PUBG soon? AJ, it is your time. That's right. Smash the like button, cowards. I didn't hear anyone complain about on an NFTs on the podcast this week. So thanks to Microsoft and Activision. Yeah, it's nice to talk about something different.
Jeff, you're doing great.
Thank you, Mike. It means a lot to me that you say that. I can here. You know what? I can entertain the people. Let's go for it.
We don't need to.
Hello, everybody.
Wow.
Thank you. Actually, it could totally be getting chewed up by NVIDIA broadcast.
I hear it though.
Woo! All right. And we're back. We got another super chat, Mike, while you were using the facilities. I'm going to read it. It's from Kung Fu Hot Dog. Hey, gents, why did Activision Blizzard agree to be bought by Microsoft? Do you think we'll see games like Transformers being revived? Cheers.
Transformers is probably more. You probably have to renegotiate that IP. I don't think.
Yeah, anything that's sort of
got that.
Like external IPs are going to be tough. But yeah, we've talked about this a little bit. It's like Activision was facing a rough future.
Why wouldn't they agree to be bought by Microsoft? Man, they all get money. They get to rebrand in a way. A lot of people are down on Activision Blizzard. And like some of like that stuff, like Bobby Kotick said in that interview with Dean, some of it was probably bullshit, but some of it is true in terms of games getting bigger, more expensive to make, and that infrastructure is just difficult. And we know that they're in this weird position where if one Call of Duty fails, they're all in trouble. If a Call of Duty fails, Microsoft will be fine. They'll get over it.
Exactly. All right, Mike, no more super chats for now. If anyone's going to send any more in, we will get to them before the end of the show. I want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. We got more than, we got about 350 people watching. If you're watching live, hit that thumbs up button. It helps people find the show. Mike, what do we do now?
We are talking about the most overrated Nintendo games. So, Jeff, I want you to tell me, what is the most overrated Nintendo game?
Super Smash Brothers.
Wow.
Listen,
it's just because you're bad at it. It's just because you're bad at it.
Bad at it? What do you mean bad at it? It's a party game. What are you talking about?
Oh my god!
I have fun when I play.
It's a party game. You lose every time. So
when I enjoy myself, and that's how you win a party game. It is okay. Listen, I don't have this like actual grudge against Smash Brothers. It's fine. I had a lot of fun with it when it was on N64, and then I played quite a lot of Melee at the time with friends. And we never ever even knew that there was like a one-on-one no items mode. We just played it as a fun party game alongside everything else. And so and we had a good time. And then I walk around like I look around a few years later, and there's like millions of people who are obsessed with this game as an actual fighting game. And I just like, what? You guys, I feel like you're all playing it wrong.
Oh my god!
But I don't care. Enjoy, have your fun. I just think it seems overrated in that respect.
Maybe I should just say Pikmin now to hurt you, because I don't think you care that strongly about GoldenEye, which is my answer. And I've talked about it before. I just never really got into GoldenEye. I'm curious to play it again because it has been a while. But even when it was like new, I didn't understand. Like people are acting like it was like some momentous thing when it didn't even do that much for console FPS, at least not as much as people say it did, right? Because that watershed moment was really Halo, and Halo's forebears are PC shooting games. Like it was a PC shooting game, it just got ported to Xbox instead because Microsoft acquired Bungie. It's not like Halo was influenced that much by GoldenEye, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know, like the GoldenEye's multiplayer, like I'll tell you what, there's like that story where it's like, wow, they made the multiplayer in like the last month of development, and isn't that crazy? And it is crazy, and it obviously did well, but it also kind of shows because it is an unbalanced. To be fair,
that's also what happened with Halo is like two guys made the Halo multiplayer in a couple months at the end of the production.
Sure.
But still, you're right. I mean,
janky, and I know people like the jankiness of it a bit. Like you could pick a character that's half the size of the other characters, right? Like, like that's fair.
And like people are like, oh, like you can't look at your friend's screen. I'm like, no, I think that's like the whole thing of it. Like it is so janky, and you don't take it too seriously that when someone is peeking at your screen, it's like that's just part of the fun when you're playing a multiplayer. But it's supposed to be like another fun party game and a fire and forget sort of thing. And I think people kind of treat it like, oh, it was this early watershed moment in competitive shooting, and it was not that at all.
No, like that's like, I think that's why I can comfortably call it overrated. Is that the first person shooter genre would be exactly where it was today if that game hadn't come out. You can't say that about a Halo or a Doom or a Half-Life, but you can say that about GoldenEye.
I think you're right.
I think it gets a bit too much respect. All right, Jeff, let us read what the community has said about this. One Up versus CPU is starting us off strong by saying, not Metroid Dread, Mid-Droid Dread. He said, there's one, analog stick controls are not as quick and responsive as D-pad controls. That's just not true. That game
it's not true.
So well.
You can actually like if you think about it, it physically isn't true because you don't have. Well, I guess I don't know. I was gonna get into some physics. I feel like it's not true when I'm playing. I could like move that stick back and forth in an instant.
Well, that's why they gave you a dedicated morph ball button and dumbed down wall jumping inputs. Now, see, like now he's upset they dumbed down wall jumping. Other people are like, wall jumping's impossible. So I don't know. He says meleeing enemies is both the worst mechanic and the most powerful move in the game. I think it's fun. 3, the game constantly locks the door behind you or changes the environment and traps you in zones, blocks off areas you already been to, and doesn't let you freely explore for 90% of the game. That, like, so many Metroidvanias do that. They have like so many of them block you into areas until you get an item and move on. Maybe it's sometimes a bit obtuse about it. Like, it could be more subtle about doing that stuff, but they all do that. So that's one bad opinion. So I'm slightly annoyed so far. Let's see how we get going further here. Oh, good. Another beloved game of mine. B Papa says, I say Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is the most overrated game. Is it better than the Mario RPGs that came before it? Sure. But I don't think that warrants the collective groans we always get with each subsequent game that tries something new. Super Paper Mario, Color Splash, and Origami King are all fine games.
Man, this whole episode's just going to make me so mad.
Enjoy them for what
it's trying something new. Give it a chance. It's trying something bad in almost all of those games. I'm not going to give it a chance. I did give them a chance. I hate them.
You'd like to Origami King, I thought.
Origami King's fine, except for the things they tried that were new.
Except for the combat system.
Yeah.
Like, except for the combat system. Like, what's an RPG? It's like, well, if you just want to read a story about Mario with some jokes, I'm like,
it's a fun world to be in.
really.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not as good as it could have been because of the combat.
Dr. Sucks says Dr. Sus, not Dr. Sucks. Maybe he's Dr. Sucks. Let's see what he has to say. The most overrated Nintendo game is Earthbound. The game is boring. The battle system isn't fun, and I don't get why the series has such a large fan base. Okay, I don't feel as strongly about him, but I could see Earthbound being the answer to this question. Some people really like Earthbound. Like, Earthbound is a lot of people's favorite games.
It's their personality. They're like they've started companies about loving Earthbound. Yeah.
Right. And I have just always been kind of mellow on Earthbound. I keep retrying it. And like I plan to do it one more time, and again, every time I plan to finally play through it this next time. But I for some reason, like, I do get it. Like, it's not like with Death's Door where I get upset because I don't get what I'm missing. I get what I'm missing with Earthbound. I think part of it's just it's not for me.
Like, let's see if I have it on my Retroid Pocket 2 right now. Maybe I'll start playing it.
There you go. Dan Park says, for me, it's got to be Terranigma. For everything the game does well, it's met with equally middling to outright frustrating moments, especially the bosses that often act as a level check of sort, where the difference between you hitting for 3 to 4 HP per attack and hitting in the hundreds is a single level up. The story is good, but fails to do anything profound. Instead, takes a more laissez-faire approach towards morality. Jeff, are you playing any of the Quintet games, those 3 action top-down RPGs for Super Nintendo?
I don't think I have.
Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer. Hopefully this is making sure I have my retro credit for everybody that I know about these. I'll tell you what, I started Terranigma when I modded my SNES Classic. I put it on there because I was very excited, because this one only came out in Europe and Japan. It was fully translated, like that European version, but you could just, put that on your Retroid Pocket or whatever, and you could play it. And it was really fun, but I also did fall off of it, so maybe there's something to it being overrated. I think it does have a bit of this mystique to it because we never got in the US for basically no good reason. So maybe people speak higher of it than it deserves. Maybe not, though. Jayton says, most overrated Nintendo game is Super Smash Bros. Melee. This is not a bad game. Don't get me wrong. I love Smash, and the series has only gotten better. But oh my god, this game is clunky at times, and I found adventure mode to be quite slow and tedious. I really like Super Smash Brothers Melee. I like Super Metroid too. I can't agree with it. I still think that there's some things Melee does better than even the newer ones. There's a feel to it, or at least that makes it feel different. It was also
it makes you feel 12.
I always feel 12. Benji Pop says the most overrated Nintendo game is Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon accomplish the same goals of actual gameplay and an actual story. Animal Crossing wastes your time. Harvest and Stardew immerse you so that you lose track of time. A very important distinction. See, I think the reason why I didn't like Animal Crossing before was because I was always expecting and wanting it to be more like Harvest Moon. I think once I let go of that a bit, I was able to enjoy
Yeah.
New Horizons more than I enjoyed some of the other games in the series. Now, I do agree that I prefer like a Stardew Valley to New Horizons, sure, but I was able to appreciate New Horizons for what it was.
There he goes,
Excuse me.
everybody.
That's a sneeze. That's a sneeze. Pablo Cross says most overrated Nintendo game for me is Twilight Princess, specifically the Wii version. It hasn't aged very well. Graphics are bad. Pacing is weird. At times too slow. Pointer is distracting. I still like it, but as years go by, I find more and more flaws in that version. I don't think any of his logic is flawed here, but except for the fact that maybe the game's overrated, because the game has plenty of people who criticize
Yeah,
it,
I feel like it's accurately rated is how I would put that one.
Right. Same thing with this next one. So Skid Tittle says, my most overrated Nintendo game has to be Donkey Kong Country 3. Fuck Kitty Kong. First off, a little rude to Kitty Kong, but
Yeah.
also like a lot of people are like, that's the worst Donkey Kong Country game.
Right.
Like it's a well-known fact now that was kind of Rare's B team while the A team was making Banjo-Kazooie, right? So it's honestly it's super crazy to say that Donkey Kong Country 3 isn't that good.
Yeah, but Kitty Kong is monstrous, though, for being fair.
Kitty Kong's fine.
I hate looking at him.
Wow, I hate looking at you, and yet here I am 2 times a week. So,
Fair enough.
like, what, you know,
Yep.
sometimes it beat like that.
Giant man, baby, yeah.
Casual says, most overrated game for me is Breath of the Wild. Hear me out. Yes, Nintendo deserves the praise for taking such a left turn gameplay-wise, but the game also has lackluster and few temples, a mostly dead open world, and sparse use of music. Okay, look, I'll say this. I will sparse use of music and lackluster few temples, I kind of agree with, even though those are more just like, those aren't mistakes, those are just choices, and maybe I would have preferred it the other way. I never understand the dead open world complaint with this or of Halo. Like, there's interesting things to do in the world just because it's not filled with a bunch of map icons, you know?
And it's like, because it's empty, like the moment when you come across like
Right.
what's the name of like the magical like deer thing that you can mount?
Right,
like,
I don't know that name, but I know
the
what you're talking
god
about.
of the mountain or whatever.
Yeah, or you
Spoilers,
come across
get
a
over it.
Lionel suddenly or whatever. It's all
Yeah, but it's like it's like what like is that this is a magical creature? Like, can I ride it? And you're like, wait, I can ride. It's like becomes like this story you could tell because it's not you're not constantly being and it's like, oh yeah, another thing happened. It like dulls this. It's like walking on grass so much that it like becomes flat and brown. That's what like most open world games are like, and Nintendo's like giving a chance for the grass to sort of breathe and grow and turn and stay green.
I mean, what's a super like alive or like a failed open world game is like Far Cry 6, and
Right.
no thank you. Robo Joe says God damn it. To me, the most overrated Nintendo game is Yoshi's Island. This is not a bad game, but when your game also has Super Mario World 2 in the title, I think there's a lot to live up to.
And it
The sequel
does.
gets a fair amount of love, but I am ultimately glad they spun this out into its own thing. The Baby Mario and egg shooting mechanics are fine, but they just don't stack up against the core Mario gameplay for me. I'm often left wondering what Super Mario Brothers 5 would have looked like, actually been like when I think about this game. I mean, look, the whole Super Mario World 2 thing was just English marketing. This isn't a core Mario game. That's a whole nother thing. Don't get confused by that. But anyway, I think Yoshi's Island is better than Super Mario World. Like, I think it's designed better. I think it's more aesthetically interesting. I think it they both control pretty well, but this might control better. I don't know. I like Yoshi's Island a lot. I think it's about as good as a 2D platformer can be.
Yeah, it's. I mean, man, getting that game at the end of the Super Nintendo was just like, oh, this console just owned. It was so good. So yeah, I have nothing but love and respect for Yoshi's Island in this house.
Nick Turbo says Nintendo's most overrated game is Melee's opening. Brawl opening is way better. You just want to keep losing. Like, you keep losing all you want. No one agrees with you. No one. Reved says Mario Maker 2 Endless Challenge sucks. 100 Marios was great. Again, this is almost kind of like a common thing I hear now. It's like Mario Maker 2 wasn't as good as Mario Maker 1.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's overrated per se. Maybe disappointing. Creaky Leg says Nintendo's most overrated game is Ocarina of Time. It's amazing, a classic for sure. I don't think most would disagree with that, but it's not ineffable. Is that how you say that word, ineffable? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's ineffable, right? Indefinable, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think you just have to. It's so hard to say Ocarina of Time is overrated, let alone the most overrated Nintendo game. I understand that it gets so much love that maybe in some way it has to be overrated, but it's Ocarina of Time. Like, I can never call it my favorite my favorite Zelda game, because it would make me feel like a normie, and it probably isn't true anyways. But like, it's like saying Wolverine's your favorite X-Man, right? Like,
Wolverine's my favorite X-Man. He is.
Well, Ocarina of Time might be your favorite Zelda game, but like, I can't say anything bad about Ocarina of Time. I really can't. No, it's very good, and it's also very important.
Yes, I agree.
This one upsets me more, actually. Beef Hammer says, I hate this. I have to say it. I think Super Mario Galaxy 2 is overrated. I love Galaxy 1, but I think the fact that most 3D Marios have a radical change to them makes Galaxy 2 stand out to me as being much more the same. And I had my fill with the first one. At least we got Lubba, who's much hotter than Rosalina. That's funny. I tell you what, I did not get my fill of Galaxy 1. I didn't even get my fill of Galaxy 2. They could have made a Galaxy 3. Like, I fucking love that shit, man.
I feel like Galaxy 2 was just like nonstop new ideas every level at such a rapid pace that I never got like, oh, this is more of the same. It was like so much more new stuff. I get that, like, the aesthetics and like the overall concept is the same, but even still, it was like, I don't know. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is just one of the best games ever made. So, and I think they would be fine doing more of that, like a direct sequel to a very big popular game at Nintendo. They would have a lot more luck if they would just do more of that.
How sad is it that I just accepted that I'm not going to get Mario Galaxy 2 on my Switch?
I mean, it's the truth. Oh, well. I don't think we are.
Winnie, Let Go and Let Godzilla says the most overrated game is Pokemon Gen 2 and its remake. So Gold, Silver, Crystal, Soul Silver, and Heart Gold. In a series that is overrated, these are the worst. The game balance is bad. People confuse a lot of Pokemon games with good Pokemon games. See also Persona 5. I don't know. Pokemon Gen 2 is pretty great, Jeff. Those ones are super good. Like, the series was still kind of new and interesting. They expanded on it in every way. It has that brilliant moment where when you beat the Elite Four, you then go to the map from the first game. I don't know. I like Gen 2 quite a lot. Even as somebody who became slightly cynical about Pokemon over time, Gen 2 is fantastic. Jamie H1224 gets more general here and just says, my most overrated for me is the entire Pokemon series. As someone who bought a Game Boy Color and Pokemon Red in 1999 with the money from his 8th birthday, the fact that it hasn't changed significantly since then makes it crazy to think it's still one of the most profitable entertainment IPs in the world. But like, yeah, I mean, I also get frustrated with the lack of innovation. That's why I'm excited for Arceus. But like, it's a business strategy. It's them knowing that there's always going to be new 8-year-olds with money from their, birthday, right? So that's why it keeps doing well. And that's why they don't want to make it more complicated. They don't want to change the formula because that is so appealing to all the brand new 8-year-olds in the world.
Right. The whole idea of Pokemon is like to give a complex set of systems to kids, but it has to be like the right level of complex. And they nailed it from the beginning that it's like, it's kind of hard to go away from that formula because they know it works and it's proven to work. So yeah, I get it.
BG says, most overrated first-party Nintendo game, in my opinion, is Banjo-Tooie. It does not hold up as well as you remember. It becomes so hard to parse, with several level threads getting way too obtuse. It breaks you going back. I've been hearing a lot of kind of, not like super negative, but a lot of people, I think, these days are like, Banjo-Tooie is not as good as Banjo-Kazooie.
I could never get into it. I loved Banjo-Kazooie when it came out. I 30, 35 hours to beat that game completely or something like that, and I could not stop playing it. And then Banjo-Tooie was just like, and I was always like, oh, there's that jiggy that you can't get in Banjo-Kazooie that maybe you'll be able to lock it on and get. And even then, I'm like, I just never got into Tooie. So, yeah.
Tooie's levels were very big, was the thing they're doing. And I think it just kind of didn't really work out. And like, we kind of saw that going forward with Donkey Kong 64 and stuff. And it seemed like a mistake.
Yes.
Rumham says, after Turbo Sean's answer, I feel like you're going to hate this, but Metroid Prime. I love Metroid, but this game was slow. The map is bad, and the controls are absolutely awful. I tried playing it on Dolphin with mouse and keyboard controls. It still just didn't grab me. I'm hoping the rumored remaster changes my mind here because I want to like it. Also, I love Super Metroid, but Turbo Sean isn't wrong that it's floaty as hell. I don't even, like, what is that? People are always like, that's like a criticism. That's just like a design choice. It's like when people criticize the game for being
gravity
linear.
is just different on Zebs. God, all these gravity truthers.
Zebs. I like Zeebs. Like it rhymes with
Zeebs. I don't know how to say it actually.
I don't know either. I don't know.
Metroid Prime's perfect. I hate
a good game.
I hate that we did this. I hate that we did this. I'm miserable now.
I know. I have to deal with people saying Metroid Prime's bad.
Oh my god. The controls are not awful. They're great. The game
Gosh.
is not even. It's not slow. It's deliberate. I don't know. It's perfect.
I don't know what they
love
mean
it.
by it's slow. Like
Yeah.
stuff's happening almost constantly.
It's a good game.
Pinball Jr. says, my most overrated Nintendo game is Super Mario World. I grew up playing the NES game, so when I got around to playing World, it was very disappointing. Dull art, meh music, too much going on in general. I definitely go back to the NES games or the new Super Mario Brother games before that one. Also, it looks like a Flash game. I think Flash games look like Super Mario World is what happened. I think Super Mario World was such the go-to 16-bit game that's what it was.
Super Mario World mad music is just wrong.
That's wrong. Everything else I can maybe like forgive him. Well, that and the fact that he rather played the new Super Mario Brother games than World. I don't know about that.
I do know about that. That's insanity. That is insanity.
Napper says the most overrated game is Donkey Kong 64 with a lot of exclamation marks, and that can't be true because a lot of people do not like Donkey Kong 64.
That's just well-known dog shit. Like everyone knows that.
Well-known. There are people who like do get mad that people don't like it apparently. Because like they never encountered that counter opinion in their child. Like I have like real life friends who are like that. Like they just don't know that they're supposed
those
to
people.
not like
those kinds of people. I know what you mean.
Yeah. And like I kind of feel like, no, you're not. I feel stupid. Like you're not supposed to like that game. Actually, like, right? Like how ridiculous. But I do feel like no, to be clear, like a lot of people don't think this game is good, and they're kind of mad at me. Crangis McBasketball, I don't blame them for being mad at me. Crangis McBasketball says the most overrated Nintendo game without a doubt is Majora's Mask. I complained about this one before, but it just isn't as fun. After Ocarina, a near perfect game, it feels like Nintendo forced it out within a year of the last game. It's almost like Nintendo tried to do to Zelda what Activision did to COD, force yearly releases that get worse over time, except the first one they tried it with was a trash fire that's worse than the worst COD game. Are you saying Majora's Mask is worse than Call of Duty Ghosts? I don't know about that.
Yeah, no way.
Also, he says, Super Metroid isn't even the best 2D Metroid game. I woke up and chose violence once again. I can understand thinking Majora's Mask is overrated, but he's pretty rough on it here.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not wrong that about what happened there. It was definitely Nintendo trying to reuse assets to make more money from a project that cost a lot of money, and we absolutely do get that. It's actually not from COD. It's stuff like expandalones, like Miles Morales is also one of those.
Final Fantasy 13-2 is my favorite example.
Yes, exactly.
Newfie Legit says the most overrated Nintendo game is Animal Crossing. Game is boring, and I don't see the appeal of it. I bought it for my wife, and she played a lot of it during the first few months of COVID. I also like shooters, though, so I guess that explains it. Alex says, I have never really clicked with 2D platforming, so in general, I really dislike classic Mario games. But the most overrated all for me might be the original Donkey Kong. With other Mario games, I will at least have a little fun and maybe beat it, but I just bounce off Donkey Kong immediately. I don't really find it fun at all, and would have been shocked to see what Nintendo would become if I was alive to watch it explode to the gaming giant and is now following those.
Yeah, but I mean, in those days, you've got to compare it to those. Donkey Kong was so much better.
You had to kind of be there, I think.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even there. Like, we joke about us being old. Like, I wasn't there, like, Donkey Kong prime.
Me neither. But it's like, compared to other games in the arcade from, like, that year and before, Donkey Kong was a serious upgrade.
Wildfire Alex. My most overrated Nintendo game is also a title that I truly enjoy playing, so it pains me to say this. It's Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I will never forget when this game launched with the Nintendo Wii in 2006. The hype was way, way, way over the top. We were still in the era of Wind Waker was okay and sort of acceptable, but the cartoony graphics still turned us away. So this more realistic looking entry, I feel, brought all the Ocarina of Time fans back and played the ship up to 1,000. Now, the game isn't bad by all means, and I loved playing it and have since played it several times, including the Wii U remaster, which is an excellent port. But is it the greatest Zelda entry ever? No, it isn't. Now it seems to like time has caught up in the perception of Switch a bit, and there's still some staunch Twilight Princess defenders out there. They need to wake up and smell the coffee. Honorable mention goes to Breath of the Wild. Yeah, see, I feel like there was some hype at first, just because there was that crowd that just could never accept Wind Waker. But I feel like ever since it came out, there was enough people saying that Twilight Princess was actually not that good that I don't know if I could say it was ever very overrated. And it had a bounce back, which was kind of nice to see, really. Like, people were more accepting of it.
Right.
But even then, there were people like, whatever. Velocity Prime 1 says, my most overrated Nintendo game is Mario Kart Double Dash. This, like many GameCube games, has grown a deep and seemingly endless brigade of people who will loudly proclaim the series peaked here. While enjoyable, it is ground zero for the snaking problem that plagued the series for a whole. If you don't play that way, you're toast. In fact, barring Wii, I think the series has only improved since then. Yeah, I'll tell you what, like there might be some truth to this. I think that Double Dash does get a big bump from being a GameCube game.
Yes, it absolutely it is getting that GameCube shine because there's just a generation of kids who grew up on the GameCube, and I get it. Like I'm always like right there with them. They're like, the GameCube is awesome. It's got like one of the best Zeldas, and I'm like, yeah. And it has a Mario game, and we're all like, yeah. And like Metroid Prime is fantastic, yeah. And like the Pikmin started there, yeah. And then Mario Kart Double Dash is the best Mario Kart. I'm like, okay, hold on, like just let's stop. Let's stop. We got to talk about that one actually. That's a pretty good answer.
I do like Double Dash, and a lot of it is like just like the mechanic of the two people in a cart. But
yeah,
I feel like I think you're kind of silly if you just don't think that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best Mario Kart.
I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe mechanically is just so.
I mean, good.
Any Mario Kart game with snaking is just fundamentally actually bad. It's actually bad because it does ruin it. Because if you're not snaking, you're losing, and it's so. Yeah, that broke that for me. Broke Mario Kart 7 on the DS, or was that the 3DS? So yeah, whichever the Mario Kart DS.
I think DS. I think 7 was the first one that got rid of it again.
Yes,
was Wii the one that got rid of it again?
I think the DS was the first one to get rid of it. Or 3DS was the one. So that's 7. So yeah, then Mario Kart DS.
I just learned how to snake though, and it was like still kind of fun.
Me too. Yeah, but it's like it was like
I understand. I'd
rather
not.
Then you couldn't like bring your friends in because they didn't know how to snake, and it was so
it'd be
bad.
like if wave dashing was easier to do, and then like it was like this giant golf. Like wave dashing was a thing of Melee, but it was still pretty hard to do. That really you weren't doing it unless you were really invested or you were a pro. But snaking was just easy enough that you could probably learn how to do it, and your friends would be miserable.
Yep.
Reselliot said Donkey Kong Country. It's all style, no substance. Sure, the sound and visuals are great, but it plays like a sack of potatoes in space. See, I used to think Donkey Kong Country was overrated. Then I replayed it like not that long ago, and I finally kind of got it. And like the soundtrack is so good that it alone elevates things a lot. And Donkey Kong Country 2 is even better. I will say, I think Tropical Freeze might be a little overrated, though.
Maybe.
I thought the game was kind of. I thought the
game
was kind of simple. I think the soundtrack was very good and it looked nice and it like controlled well, but it's just kind of not as interesting. The boss fights were terrible.
Yeah, I think I like Donkey Kong Country 1 on the Super Nintendo more than Donkey Kong Country remake or whatever, or Returns and Tropical Freeze. Yeah.
Yeah. The best I liked how, like you had Cranky Kong and you kind of controlled like DuckTales for a hot second there, but yeah, I don't know. Epic Open World says, most overrated Nintendo game. How about all of them? Too long didn't read. I did not own a console growing up for various social and economic reasons, but played plenty of NES and SNES games at friends and relatives. My fond memories with those games are tied to the social elements, not the games. It's no nostalgia, which I think clouds the feelings of people my age. Well, that is fair enough, Epic Open World. Nintendo Bro says, I think the most overrated Nintendo game that I played is Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Its story is fine. The ending is incredibly underwhelming when compared to both of the Game Boy Advance games. The only real addition it gave to the franchise was 3D graphics. It's a mid-tier Fire Emblem for sure. Yeah, I do wonder. I kind of want to go back and play Path of Radiance, see what it's like. I kind of skipped it at the time because I thought it looked significantly uglier than the Game Boy Advance games. Like it just does. So I wonder how it holds up. That's why I think it's.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Jeff. I was saying that's why I think it's so prime for a remake. But you go ahead.
I was just gonna make a joke and say Fire Emblem Path of Mid-Yence, but it's ruined now.
That's an awful joke.
So yeah, I'm honestly, I was like, I regret even saying it. So yeah, let's just move on.
I should have cut you off and never let you try to. Yeah,
we should have just ended the call.
Yeah, Jesse says it's a tie between Super Mario Odyssey, well crafted but boring, and Breath of the Wild, cool physics interactions. Everything else is mediocre to bad. Everything else is mediocre to bad. Jesse. Jesse. I hope you blast away again.
Oh, our sweet Jesse.
Jesse, you done messed up, Jesse. Gigi64 says Mario Kart 64 is the most overrated Nintendo game and kart racing game. No, I will not take any questions.
This is actually not a bad answer.
I was just about to say, Jeff, this might be the right answer.
I think it might be the right answer, yeah.
Actually being the most overrated Nintendo game, I think Gigi gets it. Yeah. I think Mario Kart 64 is not. It's very overrated for how good it ever was and for how good it is today. Like some people are still like, that's the Mario Kart I want to play.
And I think most people are that way, like about their first Mario Kart. I'm just not. So it's like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe definitely by far the best. But like, yeah, Mario Kart 64 is fine, but the way people treat it, like they put it on a pedestal, is like way overselling it.
I think, yeah, that might be the correct answer. We got a couple more here though. Screaming Madden says, wasn't sure what to pick at first, but now I'd say Pokemon Ruby is my pick for most overrated. Sapphire is apparently safe from his tyranny. He says, sure, this entry brought in new features such as double battles and weather conditions. Aside from me, both those, well, double battles sucked, but weather conditions were whatever. But this was my falling off point in the series, as I found the game too easy compared to the past games. Many of the Gen 3 Pokemon looking dumb, and the Pokemon contests were a waste of time. I don't think he's wrong about anything here, but once again, I think there's a lot of people who think that Gen 3 was kind of like
lackluster,
especially compared to Gen 2.
Right.
Although some people, I think Gen 4 is like a turning point for other people too. I don't know. Maybe people love Gen 3. I'm not sure, but I agree with him is what I'm getting at. Gerber says the most overrated Nintendo game is Nintendo Badge Arcade for the 3DS. It's all of the worst bullshit from bad free-to-play games on mobile, but most discussion of the game focus on the bunny rabbit having good dialogue. Mario Kart 64 is taken, so I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I do hate that overly poly rabbit, though. All right, Jeff, we got some things, some more super chats here for the community.
Yeah, we did. Let me hop in here and see what we have. So Supernova says simple as an answer to the question, Breath of the Wild, and then does eyes. Yeah, I just feel like eventually everyone comes back around on Breath of the Wild, and in the end it wins them all over. So just keep trying. Eventually you'll get one over. Let's see. Radu Pericol Tagana says Breath of the Wild is amazing, but it has some big-ish flaws. No, it doesn't. Gecko Gamer says New Super Mario Brothers was probably overrated at the time. I think that's probably pretty accurate. Most reviews were pretty favorable, and it oversold.
It was just novelty. It was novelty. Yes. Like I was talking about with Arceus, right? Like, but at that point, it was like, wow, literally a new 2D Mario game. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was like
been so long.
It's like a B letter grade that people were grading like an A. They were just like, oh, this is the best student in class. He's back. We're just going to give him an A. It's like, I was playing at the time and I'm like looking around like, I don't think so. But, at the time, that most people did kind of rate it pretty high. Let's see. All Things Mario wants to know if we could show love to his Mario channel.
Well,
and
yes, we
just did. Yeah. All Things Mario. All right, there
There's
you go.
some love. Here, you give it a heart. There you go.
Yeah.
We got one more super chat here, I think, from Gecko Gamer.
That's right. Quite a bit of an aside. Did you know that the games industry almost had a second crash in 1996, which wiped out most 2D studios at the time and thus forced 3D into the 5th gen? I didn't know exactly, and really I
haven't heard it framed that way before. I thought that the shift to 3D was just something everybody.
And also, you got to keep in mind, like this is going to be different from country to country, like. These things hit different. Like the crash in the 80s, yeah, it happened in the United States. Did not happen in Japan. Never really even happened in Europe because they were always just into like computer hardware and stuff. Also, don't say 5th gen because it just confuses me. Because I never at the time in my life. I hate this, Mike. I still hate this so much when people are just like 5th gen.
What's supposed to be 5th gen?
This is the whole point. Exactly. Because you have to specify every time. Right. If you're not some person on the internet who's having these conversations all the time. At the time, no one on earth called them 5th gen. And it's got to be on 64 and PlayStation, I think, or maybe PlayStation 2.
If it at least started with NES, I could make some sense of it because I can go, at least I can count with Nintendo, right? Like there was a company that had a system for each one. So I go, yeah, NES, that's 1st gen, SNES is 2nd gen, Nintendo 64 is 3rd gen, but it's not even that. They account the Atari and the Atari 5200 eras as separate gens before
EA uses a different generational thing. Guess which console they start with?
EA 3DO, because that'd be incredible.
That's a good guess. Not. Maybe that is what they start with the PlayStation. So it's like PlayStation.
They started the PlayStation. They made games for the Genesis.
I know. I think they think everything before then was just 1st gen or something like that. Or it's just such a. Just say the name of the console that we're talking about. The PlayStation 2 generation is a very useful thing that is very illustrative.
Right, I understand. Yeah, just pick whatever was the most popular console from that era. It's fine. Or just pick any of them. If you say the GameCube generation, I know what you're talking about. You say the Xbox 360 era, I get it. The Genesis era, I get it. 5th generation.
And it avoids literally the conversation that maybe I hate the most, which is which generation is the Switch in? Fuck you. Actually, it's the generation it's in.
Well, that's that's the thing. The Switch broke it, right? Because the Wii U died too early.
Yeah, but
now the Switch came out at a weird time, and they didn't care about it like lining up perfectly with the competition anymore. It didn't matter.
And it's
So
like it doesn't. Yeah, it literally doesn't matter. It's like it was always just this made up thing that we are putting on top.
Yeah.
Like in like looking at back in terms of like history, but real life is way messier than that, and things just get moved around, and people make decisions based on not like saying we are competing in this generation. That's just a made up thing in our heads. So I'm not like trying to pick on you, Gecko Gamer, but I hate
portable game consoles never fit with it very well. So. All right, Jeff. So I think the correct answer to most overrated game is Mario Kart 64.
I think we found it. I think we came up with the answer. Well done, Giggy.
I think that is the correct answer, actually.
There were a few other people said they wanted to say Mario Kart 64 and didn't because Giggy already did. So well done to all of you.
Yeah, so I think that's the correct answer here. Anyone who said like Super Metroid, Metroid Prime, or Breath of the Wild should feel ashamed of themselves.
Yes.
All right. I'll tell you what, I got through that relatively peacefully. I'm okay. I'm not too mad.
I mean, people's opinions are
I've
their
accepted
opinions.
that. Yeah.
I've got perfect taste. What am I supposed to do? I mean,
right. Look, I can't help it that you're not me. I feel bad for you.
Yeah, this is your problem, though.
Jeff, next week though, we'll get positive again. We'll ask what is the most underrated Nintendo game. Okay. So that should be fun. I'm gonna spend some time thinking about that because I wonder. I have some ideas.
I'll have to think about that. I'll dive into some stuff. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Can I talk about a game real quick that's not on Switch, but it really should be?
Sure, Jeff.
And it's got like Nintendo vibes because it's it's Castlevania themed. It's called Vampire Survivors. It's $3 on Steam. It looks kind of like it looks very basic. It looks 8-bit. It plays. It's basically like like Metroidvania is like we're mashing up Metroid and Castlevania, and there's like leveling or whatever. This is Robotron-vania. Where it's like, or like Geometry Wars Vania. You are moving around on a field. It's like a very simple 8-bit field. You play as a vampire killer, and you are constantly getting upgrades to all these different things to take on waves and waves of bats and vampires and monsters and all this stuff and giant praying mantises and things like that. And all the weapons work in very specific ways, and so like. You get like a magic wand and it shoots off a blue spark at some guy that's closest. And then on the next one, it's like, it does more damage. And then the next time you upgrade it, it's like, it's going to shoot at 2. And then the next upgrade, it's going to shoot at a faster pace. And there's all kinds of different weapons. Like there's the axes that you throw up, but you're on like, it's a top down view, but the axes still throw up in terms of like looking at the screen. So they're like basically like flying up north. And then they slowly peter off, and then they start going south. And you could set them up so that they can go through more enemies and do more damage at a time. So as you have more waves coming, it's just like these 4 axes flying off doing a ton of damage and flying through a bunch and taking a bunch of enemies out. It is super satisfying. I'm pretty sure it is only controlled by movement. Like there's no buttons to press. All the attacks are happening automatically. But
like Yeast. Like Yeast 1 and 2.
Yeah, I've never played the Yeast game, so maybe
just those two are like that.
Okay, but yeah, it's like so the stuff's all happening on a timer, so you're just kind of waiting for the cooldown. So there's a little bit of like a timing effect of like making sure if that enemy's coming close, that he comes close right when you're ready to swing again. But you can get like a garlic, and it creates a barrier around you that if anyone gets close, it's going to start hurting them. It is it's fantastic. It is already like up there in terms of like at the end of the year. This is probably going to be in my top 10. It is that much fun. Huh. It's on Steam right now. I think it's early access. They need to get this thing on Switch as soon as possible, though. I think it's going to be massive on Switch. $3 for this thing. It's awesome.
Jeez. I actually missed Turbotron's answer to the overrated question. He's the one who started this whole thing. I missed it because it blended in with his like reminder to everybody to answer. So I'm sorry about that, Sean. But he started all this by saying Super Metroid, and he said Super Metroid. I'm sticking to my guns. And if you cowards had the cojones, you would play 10 minutes of Super and Zero Mission back to back and see what I mean about the controls. Samus feels like she's jumping and shooting through molasses on the moon. Like, Sean, you don't believe me. I play Super Metroid all the time. Yeah. I play Zero Mission and Fusion a ton also. Like, I understand the slight differences of the controls, and I have never had any issue with Super Metroid's controls. I feel
to me, going back to Super Metroid, it feels like home. It feels like this feels right to me still.
It feels great. Yep. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I could play Super Metroid. Like again, every time there's like a collection of Nintendo games, like these SNES Classic is out, or SNES games are on the Switch, right? And like they always do the standards, like Mario World, Link to the Past is here, and Donkey Kong Country. Like I'll play some of them. I play Super Metroid again every single time. And I always just start it just to see what Super Metroid looks like on this new thing. And then I just end up playing it because I just can't get enough of that game. It feels fantastic to me. Nostalgia goggles. You guys are insane. You guys are just absolutely bananas. We're going to do that's the next community game right now is you have to watch me play Super Metroid and talk about why it is in fact the best game ever. In fact, that's my most underrated Nintendo game now is Super Metroid because you guys don't appreciate it enough. Oh gosh.
G-Man Sir wants to know why I hate Greg Miller because he's a menace, because he's a bully, because he's clearly much, much, much older than he appears. If you saw him today, you saw his eyes all turning red like he's a decrepit, old, decomposing corpse. So clearly he's doing some dark magic to keep himself young. He's he goes and he hosts things and he just yells really loud the entire time, and I have to cover him, and it's like they hear this yelling man while I'm trying to work. It's all very distracting. He's a menace on this industry. He is a barnacle, a menace to society. He likes Mike Minotti, and I feel like that's great. I think that says enough right there. I think that says everything right there.
Hey, good morning, Games. It's not a super chat saying Yoshi's Island is overrated. Sorry. Apology not accepted. Good morning.
Yeah, I mean, don't apologize to us, please.
I don't accept it.
Because we're not going to accept it. Yeah, we feel hurt.
You. All right. You know, I've just been playing Mario and Luigi, and I've just been having a very good time with it. So
yeah, is it like so? You played Superstar Saga before?
I did. I didn't beat it back in the day. I realize now, but I know I played in my mind. I played a lot of it, and somehow didn't beat it. But I already feel like I'm probably further than I ever was. Maybe not. It's hard to say. I can't remember. But the game just feels so good, Jeff.
Right.
The turn-based combat, the action commands, and the fact that like it's such a nice evolution of that idea in that you could never take damage if you time everything correctly.
Yes. And
you learn all the patterns right. That feels fantastic. I think the pace is very good. Like some of the Mario RPGs, the pace gets a bit obnoxious and there's way too much talking. Like the later Mario Luigi games introduce so many gimmicks and puzzles and stuff, and there's the tutorial for each and every one of them.
Comes out and talks to you how to do it. Yeah. It's terrible. Yeah, they really overdid that.
It kills me. Right? It's like I think it's what killed Toadsworth as a character. Actually, is that they made him do that stuff too much, and now I'm like, I don't want to see this character ever again. Get him away from me now. Like I associate him with bad times, but no, Mario Luigi is absolutely fantastic so far. I definitely think that in terms of the Mario RPG, there's like this tippy top where it's Mario RPG, Thousand Year Door, Mario Luigi Superstar Saga, and then kind of everything. And then there's like kind of like this Bowser's Inside Story, maybe Paper Mario 1 here, and then everything else. I guess
so, like Super Paper Mario, and then below that, we could probably do a tier list of one of these. We could probably do a tier list someday, but then I'd feel pressure to actually like play Color Splash or something, which sounds disgusting. Yeah. Okay, maybe we can avoid that.
All right, Jeff, I think that's it. We got a few more things to do for work before we can call it a day here. So we are going to get out of here. Don't forget, next week, most underrated Nintendo game. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for Last Nintendogs. You can find more of me on Twitter at Tolkoto, Tolkoto. Check out the 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. We'll be back on Friday with GameSpeak Decides. Jeff, tell them words.
Yeah, I'll be, you'll find me sleeping some point soon. I'm very tired. I will be on the Discord. We're going to be doing a PUBG game night here pretty soon. I know it's the Nintendo podcast. I don't know, but it's free to play now, I think. So go get on your PC, come play with us. I'll host some customs or something. Maybe we'll go play with Will Smith and his crew. That'll be a lot of fun. Jeff Grubb on Twitter. I always post what I'm doing on there. So if you want to keep up, that's a good way to do it. Or just go to discord.gg/game mess. The game mess is always growing. It's always growing. So tune in. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Style.